Oh man. And we're live.
Hello, Terry Moore.
Hello everyone.
Chris got me wound up. I was bitching there before we got on air. So
I will let everybody know we're trying something different out. So I need to look at I can't look at it on my phone.
oh,
I'm trying something different out. I'm casting to we normally we use StreamYard for our show. And so we cast to YouTube through it. A lot of folks do it. It's probably, it's a pretty huge, software or website everybody uses. But I was kind of screwing around today because, I was bored. Not really. But I was like, I wonder where else I can do. Because we used to, when we did Boom Addiction, we would cast to the Facebook page. And that was cool and all. And I just started looking. Like, you can obviously, like, if I wanted to stream it on, my personal Facebook page, I could, or the Comic Addiction group page, I could do that as well. LinkedIn, for as professional as we are, it's probably a
right.
good place to do it.
Doug
Hey,
S. Howdy.
Doug, howdy. Or I could do it to Twitter, and I was like, oh,
Oh, that's right.
let's do Comic Addiction's Twitter handle. So I don't know what it looks like, so I'm gonna quickly there might be there might be some feedback, so I apologize. Just hopefully that's not the case. I probably shouldn't do it this way. I should do it. I'm looking on my screen. I'm not going to share it for everybody, but I just want to see what it looks like on my end.
Looks pretty good on mine.
So let's see. Oh, there you go.
A pretty bald pate there, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So now you can also watch us on Twitter if you want to. So I thought we'd try it out for this episode. I always like to try some new stuff and everything. I'm not 100% sure what the delay on that one is. It does look like it's probably a bit longer than it is on YouTube. So, but either way, thought I would try that out, see if we can wrangle in some new folks to the chat, or at least to check us out and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. So if you do, right now it's just Terry and Doug in the chat that I know for sure. So we'll wait a little bit later in the show and we'll see who if we pull any new folks in. So hope everybody's doing well. We'll go ahead and get started. We're on episode 149. One more before that mythical anniversary. But just like comic industry celebrates, on the 25s.
Now it's interesting you bring that up because Grandmaster Peter Rios was talking about the benefit of celebrating anniversaries today on Twitter.
Oh, well, I know he was talking about CGS. So
yeah, somebody posted a episode 300 recording pic.
Yep.
And that put him into the mind of why celebrating the anniversaries is beneficial, potentially or theoretically, or however you want to put it. I mean, you never know for sure, of course, but yeah. So it's interesting. Interesting that you brought that up today because it was as I said, the grandmaster of comic book podcasting was talking about that.
I need to go back and I saw that he was tweeting that photo, or several photos.
Follow the thread from the first one, I think, where he put up the big 300 turnout pic.
Okay, I'll go back and take a look at that then.
And I got to thinking, I attended 200.
Well, and that's the thing. I actually looked in that photo to see if you were there. I couldn't remember which one you. No, I knew you attended one, but
it was 200 that I was at. Yeah.
I hate that I missed those. That I always remember listening to them, and it sounded like everybody's had such a great time.
It's a thing that just doesn't happen anymore unless it's at a convention. Now,
right. Yeah.
A lot of podcasts, they don't celebrate an anniversary per se, but they get together live recordings at conventions. And so I'm sure there's, in Dining Hall Z, there's 350 capacity or whatever, so.
Yeah.
But not like this. Not like come where we record, we will make room for you and we will record it that was
pretty cool. I remember hearing all this, talk and everything on the show about, prepping for it and everything, and
Yeah.
then it evolving into the Super Show,
Right.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
it was. I mean, it's really hard to describe to people who've only been listening to podcasts for the last 5 years or whatever,
Yes. Yeah.
weren't listening to podcasting back in, oh 05, oh 06, oh
607.
07, that
Yeah. Really.
range, to really, especially in the comic podcasting sphere, trying to explain to them that everybody and their grandmother didn't have a podcast back
Right.
then.
Right.
And so there was only a dozen, podcasts, and you listen to all of them, and you'd listen to them, every week, and doesn't matter how many episodes they put out, you were chomping at them. You're like,
Yep.
someone, I have a radio show basically that now talks about comics. I can listen to it all day long at work. It was the greatest thing.
Yep. And if you wanted to get that kind of input, you had to listen to those because that's all there was just that handful of shows at the time.
Yeah.
So it's not that. Yeah, it's the same as back in the 40s and 50s when everybody watched broadcast television.
Yeah.
Everybody did because there were three networks and
Hmm.
that's all there were, and they were on your TV. So if you wanted it, you got a TV, and those three networks was all there was. So every show had viewerships in the millions
Oh yeah.
every episode,
Yeah.
because it's all there was.
Yeah.
But that having been said, I definitely enjoy that there is the breadth of shows that there are now.
Oh, sure. For
I
sure.
wouldn't, I wouldn't roll things back and say, "Oh, I wish there were only 12 shows."
No, no,
No,
no, no.
but in the evolution, having been part of it since very, very near the beginning, it's been a very enjoyable ride in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. Much more so than the medium that we choose to talk about, actually. But
Comics.
so yes,
They make me laugh. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Not to get into details or anything like that, but comics have been a struggle bus lately. So, I think for both of us,
yes,
for
indeed,
for different reasons too. So but yeah, it's life. I mean, and not in a sort of brushing it off kind of sense. It's just, everybody kind of goes through different phases with their
that's
hobbies, and
yep. It's a phase.
if nothing can be perfect all the time. So
Did you see Mike Myers on Twitter today?
I saw him several times.
There was a very warm place in my heart that he seemed to have so much fun receiving the book,
Oh
reading
yeah.
it, and then talking about it after. I was
Oh
just
yeah.
like, hell yeah, that's exactly why we do what we do.
Yep.
Because people
Exactly.
react like that. Not this, not talking in a
Oh
podcast.
yeah.
No, no, no. Comic books and
Yep.
reading comic books and enjoying them like that. That was I just I almost hee hawed when I read his
Did
tweets.
you?
Yeah. I was like, you go,
Well,
Mike.
when he said, "Oh, he got it. Thanks a lot, guys," and everything, I was like, "Okay, cool.
Right,
Got it," and
yeah.
everything. And then, yeah, I mean, and just a little bit after that, it was like, "Oh, talking about how he liked the book," and then
That's
he was
cool.
like sharing the Kickstarter for the volume 2, and
For
just
yeah, for the net. Yeah,
I
I
was
was
just
like,
like, "Yep,
okay.
he's all in on that
Yeah.
book. That's
That
awesome."
that's fun. It's I, there's a part of me that wishes that I felt the way that I took he felt more often than I do.
Right. Yeah.
And you can again, most of my reading, I sit with Terry beside me, and you can ask her. The frequency of me saying I enjoy a book or something like that is much lower than the other end of the scale. So that's it does happen, and sometimes I have to make it a point.
Yeah.
I have to go grab one of Marvel's Gru issues or an issue of the
Right.
Tick or so,
Yeah.
just to force myself to enjoy. You're
Yeah.
gonna like this, and I do, and
Yeah.
it resets, and then I
Mhm.
pick up the next X book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you, and then after I say this, we'll actually
Okay.
officially start
Yes,
the show.
we need to go.
Since we're 10 minutes in, but I started to listen to all of you know that I'm a big ElfQuest fan.
Oh yes, yes.
So the audio
Audio
show
movie or whatever they're
movie or
calling
whatever
it. Yeah.
is out now.
It is it free or do you still have to
It's
pay
on
for it?
Spotify, yeah.
Okay.
No, you don't
Okay.
have to pay for it, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I thought okay.
but they're releasing it I forget how often they are, but there's only, like, 2 or 3 episodes up,
Mhm.
and so they're about I mean, they're lengthy episode, but it's, it's the first issue, they're doing them by issues,
Yeah, it's
and
a actual
it's
dramatization.
oh my gosh, it's so good.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, so
I've been
good.
wondering about that.
So listening to it, I've only gotten through the first one because I just started listening to it yesterday. Because I just for whatever reason kept forgetting. Like I know it's there. I just
Mhm.
keep anyway. But yeah, even it's like I know the pages. I see the pages and the panels and everything
Awesome.
as they're
Yeah,
talking about,
that's
and I can see all. And I was just like, it has been. I look at the big, IDW book, the
mhm.
big oversized one. Maybe once or twice a year, I'll pull it out of the box and
Okay.
take a look at it because it's so cool. But it's been a long time since I've actually read the whole series, or at least the first 32 issue series that Warp did. Um, but it's I'm like I need to get a hold of all those
Yeah,
issues again.
that's
Well, I mean, it's on their website, but I
that's
like to get the
yeah,
issues.
it's different.
Yeah. And then when I found that first issue sitting in one of these piles the other day, like the Warp #1, I'm like, good lord, I totally forgot I bought this. I'm like, that made me super happy too. So,
The good old days,
oh
man. That
yeah.
was yeah.
All right, so let's get the show on the road. This is episode 149. Like I said, one more episode before the big 150.
150.
So, all right, in three, hold on. Let me take a deep breath. Let there be like a pause. Deep breaths. Okay, we're all good. Cleanse. Okay. In three, two, one. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Addiction. This is episode number 149. I'm one of your co hosts, Chris Parton. And with me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you?
I am coffeeed up tonight, bitch.
You
Ready
got.
to go.
I'm a,
No,
I'm,
this is no caffeine coffee. So
oh, I'm a bit on the cheer wine tonight.
mhm.
Uh, I was.
That does have caffeine.
Does it?
I
Oh,
believe so.
well, this
Does
is
it not? Is it caffeine
uh,
free?
I don't know.
It could
I've
be.
I've never paid attention to be honest.
Oh well. So I
It doesn't say caffeine free, so we'll just assume that Chris will be hyped by the end of the show.
didn't mean to
So,
spoil anything.
oh no, it's fine. Just all my hopes and dreams. So hope everybody's doing well. If you have noticed, the audio show is not on the feed. That is I would say by design, but it's not. Um, uh, it'll eventually get there. So listening to us on YouTube's probably made the best thing for the time being. Um, so hopefully you're doing that. So cool. So last week we did our previews for November's. Was it yeah, it was November solicitations. Is that correct? Or is no?
September, October, November, December, wouldn't it be?
Was it decent? Oh,
Or no, December's coming up. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
December's
November
coming up.
books.
They cross over, and so it throws me off too. So
Yeah.
but this week we're back to our FOCs and new releases coming next week and stuff like that. So we may be making some adjustments to the show, the format and everything. Post 150, Ed and I are still meeting with HR to figure out
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
how to
We're having
deal
our
with
people
that.
check into that.
Yeah. So, but let's go ahead and dive into FOC, Final Order Cutoff. These are the books that you need to have your order in by the 26th of September or earlier,
Thereabouts, right?
So, but let's go ahead and jump into things. If I can put my screen correct. There we go. Boom.
All right. So we have
Godzilla.
first for me the trade paperback for the 5 issues of the Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crossover.
God, it was such a good series.
Now, um, and some of you were privy to some of this. Believe me, my thoughts on the subject started before the record button was pressed. Um, lately I've been finding it difficult to find entertaining comics without really digging or without going back. I mean, I can go in my boxes and get crap that I know I'll like. That's why I have them in my boxes. But I'm trying to keep up current. This book was as much fun recently as I have been able to find. This was just, you know, who would think and why would you think that Godzilla and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would work together? Well, I mean, there is the Megazord, so it kind of, but that aside, it's just Cullen Bunn. First of all, he did an excellent job of meshing these two, in a lot of ways, different sci-fi stories into one. Meshed them together very, very well. Freddie Williams II, his art is the upper echelon of comic book artists right now. So between the two, this was fun. It had everything in Godzilla. If you have seen now, the more Godzilla movies you have seen, the more you would have gotten out of the series. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, probably the same thing. Unfortunately, my knowledge was on the Godzilla side and not necessarily on the Mighty Morphin side, but I would imagine that the same rang true for them.
Mhm.
All of the little things, the people and places that I picked up from Godzilla, I'm sure they were there for the Power Rangers as well. I just didn't necessarily recognize them. So, uh, $18 or less, depending on where you're going to be able to find it. Definitely pick this up. I think it's just it's a fun kaiju slash non kaiju kind of comic book. A lot of fun.
Oh yeah, guys, it was so good.
Yep.
And you're right, the art in it's phenomenal. It is so good. So, my first pick is hey, it's a boom book. Shocker. It's Damn Them All, number one of six. It is Cy Spurrier and Charlie Adlard coming at you with a brand new. What they're saying, they'll be introducing your favorite new occult anti-hero since John Constantine or Tyne. Whether that happens or not, we'll find out. But I'm pretty stoked about this. I mean, Cy Spurrier has always been doing. I've been a big fan of his stuff, just regardless. It's just he does comics I enjoy. Uh, but that being said, I am a little more interested in the Charlie Adlard part of this
Mhm.
because I'm a huge Walking Dead fan and have been just jonesing to get him on a series. Even it's only 6 issues, it says. Um, Hopefully, we'll get a little more, but if all we get is 6 issues, I'll be happy with it. There are way too many variant covers for this. We shall, I was like, we shall not go over those. But there just seems to be an excessive amount. But when you do a Spurrier Adlard book, you're going to get creators who want to be involved, and so they are. So, um, but that's about all I got to say on it. It's just I don't know a whole lot other than what's in the solicitation, which you can easily read here for yourself. Um, but I do think it's going to be one of those sort of spooky books that'll be a lot of fun to read, at least a lot of fun to look at. So
I'm sure we have all seen that Keanu is coming back for a Constantine 2.
yeah,
Okay.
little part of me's like, yay, and the other part of me's like, anyway. So,
Well, we'll see.
yeah, I mean, like I tell my son on every movie that he talks about, I'm like, I'm really not going to be able to judge it until I see it.
Sure, sure.
So,
I enjoyed the first movie.
oh, I did
Um,
too. Yeah.
I did enjoy the television series though as well.
Hmm.
So they were very different.
Yep.
Um, all right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. My next book, my next pick is the Crumrin Chronicles Volume 2. I believe I spoke about Volume 1 back a little bit ago. I meant to
Yep.
check my list, but
Yeah, you did.
um, again, just a continuation of the story of the young girl who is a witch, whether she wants to be or not. This story focuses on her brother. Now, quickly speaking, the story of her brother is that until recently, this occurred in the first volume. She didn't even know she had one because what had happened is mom and dad had him, and in order to protect him, gave him to the fairies to raise. So he has been raised in the fairy realm, not knowing that he had any other family in the human realm. So he and Courtney uh, managed to cross paths and determined who and what they were to each other. And so now all of a sudden they both have a sibling. Um, this second volume goes into that a little bit, but then it goes more into why he was having to be hidden, and that threat resurfaces now that he's back over on our side, and that is the main thrust for this second volume of the Crumrin Chronicles.
Cool.
The art is good. Really enjoyed Ted Nafa. If that's wrong, I apologize.
I've never been able to pronounce that.
I'm not sure how long it's been since I've heard his name pronounced,
Mhm.
if I can even remember hearing it. But yeah, good art, fun writing. Courtney has been written by him since she's probably aged, I would say, maybe 10 to 15 years of her time.
Mhm.
So that's how long the development of her character has been in her world. So he's been at it for quite a while, and she is very well developed and fun. Not in the juvenile way, but fun in the juvenile almost kind of way,
Right.
if that makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
she's not the little kid that does dumb things, but she is younger, and so she does foibles and lacks experience at times. And fun read, easy on the eyes. $15, pick it up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so my next pick for FOC is Strange Academy Finals #1. This is the new series. If you, I was a huge fan of the first one. This is Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos working together, so I think that alone is worth the price of admission. But I really enjoyed. I didn't know what to expect from the first series. Went 18 issues. Which we kind of knew it was going to be a limited run-ish kind of thing to give. If Ramos was going to continue to do the book, they needed to give him some time to work on it. So issues didn't come out exactly every month, but they were pretty close. I mean, they definitely stocked some issues up before they announced the book and then actually got it out there. So I thoroughly enjoyed that a lot. It was one of those things. Again, like I said, I didn't expect to like it, um, but I definitely was curious about it because of Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos on it. So so when they said that they were coming back, to do this series, I don't know how many of these we'll get. They're going to do the full, 4 years of high school or whatever, kind of thing. I'm cool with that. If that's what Marvel wants them to do, I'm all for it. I could care less if these characters, just in general, I care less if characters show up in TV shows or movies. This is what I'm reading, and this is what I'm enjoying. I enjoy all of these characters. It was the twist to last season or last series was really good. So I'm just kind of looking to see how that plays out. But and I'm not even entirely sure how long this series will be. But this series also helped me get into the Doctor Strange comic book. The current one with Clea, I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I'm enjoying too. So I think I have this series to kind of to thank for that. So I'm just going to stick with it. So Strange Academy Finals #1 that'll be out October 26th, according to this website.
I got definite Generation X vibes from it.
Oh, for sure,
It very much
100%.
felt like they were wanting to do similar things with the first year to 2 years of the Generation X book, and that was fun as well
Yeah.
for me in the same way that Strange Academy has been fun. I've been reading it from the beginning as well,
Cool.
so it's
Awesome.
yeah, it's been really good. All right, my third FOC pick is Isunboshi from Oni. Graphic novel, hardcover. It's feudal Japan. Feudal Japan is swords, demons, lots of scary spirits, and all of that is in here. A retelling of a classic Japanese folk tale, it says. So this is a story that has stood the test of time before it was even drawn on paper. So you know it's got to be good, or it teaches you a very poignant lesson, one or the other.
One of the two, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Everyone that listens knows that I'm a stan for feudal Japan and stories of that nature. So this is my offering this week for that type of story.
Cool. 35 pages. I wonder how many pages it is. For being
Um,
such a, I mean, it's a hardcover, so the price point kind of makes sense a little bit. But I'm wondering if that's 200 plus pages or something like
yeah,
that for that price.
I doubt it's that big, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
I would bet that it's 60 to 75, something like that.
Oh, wow. I'll have to keep an eye out on it then. All right. So my last pick for FOC is Hellboy in Love #1 of 5 from Dark Horse. This is Mike Mignola, Christy Golden, and art by Matt Smith. I think I've talked about Hellboy in the past. Hellboy is one of those characters that I don't read consistently, but I do drop in on from occasion and just kind of check up on him and see how he's doing. And this just it's been a while since I've picked up a Hellboy book, and so I saw this on FOC. I was like, you know what? I think it's about time I drop back in on Hellboy and see what's happening. So I'm definitely going to pick up this first issue, and then we'll check it out and see if I want to pick up subsequent issues after that. But I'm pretty sure I'll pick up the whole series because, like I said, Hellboy's a pretty good character to read, and it has never been a character I felt like you had to read everything,
Mm.
which I think is probably the reason that character continues to be as popular as it is and as successful as it is. So
I just looked up Isunboshi. The Kickstarter was 200 pages of black and white.
all right, see, there
So
you go.
if all of that is in there in hardcover, that's a pretty hefty tome.
Yes, it is.
And I remember seeing it on Kickstarter. I don't know why I didn't go for it. Probably because of the price was a little prohibitive with shipping.
You probably
Plus,
looked at it and were like $47 in shipping.
yeah, I was going to say plus two if it came out if the Kickstarter finished and I didn't look that closely before the pandemic, people still probably don't have that thing in their hands. So
Probably. All right, so that's our FOC picks again. FOC ends on the 26th of September, which is Monday. So check out your local comic shop and see about getting some of these books. And maybe you want to pick out some other books. You can definitely go to we use Previews World, their website, and go to the FOC page and kind of get a look. But your local comic shop can probably help you out with who they use, whether it's Comics Hub or something like that. Some just have their own website. So let's talk about books that are coming out next week.
next week. First up for me is Born of Blood from Merc Magazine, home of Death Rage and Miss
Home
Meow.
of every other book that you
And,
read right now.
well, pretty much. And because of how much I am enjoying the others, and the fact that this is about, let's see, where's her name? Garis, who is a daughter of a king of Sparta.
There you go.
So if it is, in a similar vein as the other books that Merc is putting out, it's going to be fun. You can't go wrong with a Tim Vigil cover.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't, he doesn't do the interior artwork, but that's okay because it's a good place to start having him on the cover.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to more Merc publishing.
Cool. No, that's good. I can't say much because hey, look, boom, showing up again. So We are the stands for what we like. So
Yep, that is.
so Briar #1 comes out next week. It's a 4-issue miniseries. Christopher Cantwell, Permain Garcia doing the art on it. This is another, it's another one of those, supernatural fantasy titles that Boom has got under their belt. It is basically, see if the solicitation. So, what if Sleeping Beauty never got her happily ever after, but instead had to save herself in set in a brutal fantasy world that time forgot? This isn't the fairy tale that you know. So it's a dark fantasy adventure. So, um, I don't know. I like Cantwell a lot. He is maybe actually care about a character that I haven't really cared that much about in a while, Iron Man. And so, I'm a huge Iron Man fan, and I just kind of it's just Iron Man, But reading his latest series as well as some other stuff that he's written here over the last couple of years, definitely have become a fan of his stuff. So if you're going to put Christopher Cantwell book at Boom Studios and they're going to give him sort of that leeway that he needs to tell the story that he wants to tell, I'm going to be on board. Now it says 4 issues, so as longtime Boom fans, we know that sometimes 4 issues is sort of a suggestion for the first story arc, and depending on sales, could expand, or that could just be the story that the creative team has to tell. So the one thing that we'll find out is if that is true or not. Whether we'll get more, even if we don't, I think 4 issues is going to be a pretty solid story. So we'll check it out starting next week.
All right. Speaking of Death Rage, this is issue 3 of his 6-issue miniseries. Merc Magazine's Deadpool continues. First couple issues have been fun. I imagine that the third issue will be as fun, if not more. So why not pick it up?
Yep. Sounds really, what more do you need? I mean, it looks like fun. Check it out.
Enjoyed the first 2, so I don't know why I wouldn't enjoy the third.
Right, exactly. And Doug chiming in. Looking forward to Briar. Hoping it's as good as Alice Ever After. Even if it's just close, that'll be good. Alice Ever After was a pretty good series. And I think that series also benefited from the dual artists.
Mhm.
You know, the one in one reality and one in the other, really sort of, even though the styles are pretty close to one another, still really differentiated what was going on. So, um, yeah, big fan. Hopefully it does do just as well. My next book for next week is the Batman Audio Adventures. I don't know if any of you checked out the podcast that this is going to be based off of. It was on Spotify. It is a unique, story. It's obviously a different world of Batman. This is not tied to anything. There's a lot of there's a lot going on. I really don't want to talk too much about it, because if you've not listened to it, I really want you to go listen to it, because I really enjoyed it. I've been getting into these. I never thought I would get into radio drama, at least modern day radio drama stuff. And I've been listening to quite a few of them, and this one was thoroughly enjoyable. But when they said they were going to do a comic book version of it, I was like, did you need to? But I don't know. I'm at least going to try it, see how they adapt, this series, at least for this first issue. It's set for 7 issues, so I don't know how they're going to break it up. And as far as I forgot how many episodes the podcast was, but it was more than 7, I feel. But we'll see. I mean, I've really been kind of looking for a Batman thing, so it'd be kind of fun to read a Batman thing that's sort of separated from everything else.
Well, I think it would be interesting to have a pulpy Batman not connected to any of the continuity of the last, 1.5 million
Oh
years.
yeah. Oh, for sure. And I
Um,
think that's why I like the audio drama.
kind of like almost, you can just start at a beginning and
Mhm.
just develop a whole new world with whole new protagonists and antagonists, and maintaining that pulpy Batman-y kind of old time radio feel to it.
Yep.
That, I mean, that's all stuff that everybody likes. Well, not everybody. Um, a lot of people like, and
Yep.
so why not use that?
Yep. I totally agree. All right. Oh, cool.
Assassin's Creed Dynasty. It says graphic novel. It's a manga. This is the
Yeah.
fourth volume.
Yeah.
It's from Tokyo Pop, and it's drawn and written by someone whose name that I just fear to attempt because I know without a doubt I will butcher it. But you can look up the name.
Would it be funny if I could actually pronounce it correctly?
Go
That's
for it.
the only no, no, I would just say,
Oh,
would it be funny? No, I know I can't.
that's
Like, as
I
much
am
as I
not.
struggle with names.
I believe, by the looks of it, that is a Chinese name, and I am horrible remembering how to pronounce Chinese names. Took me years to get, not insulty with Japanese names.
Mhm.
Chinese names are, yeah. And if it's not, I apologize if that's a besmirchment or a trigger for anyone or anything like that. I don't intend it to be. But this is the fourth volume. I have the other three in this, and there's another series of manga that have come out from another company. I'm not sure why Assassin's Creed has multiple licenses for black and white manga-esque books, but they
Mm.
do out there. Um, this one is, let me think a minute. Yeah, this is the one that is actually as it appears. This is a past member of the Assassin's Guild who is having adventures. The other manga that I mentioned is a contemporary person who is being treated supposedly for ailments that he has psychologically, but the evil corporation that is treating him, he doesn't know that they're evil, is regressing him mentally, but through him and the machine that he's in, they're actually throwing him into ancestors and
Mhm.
directing what those ancestors ultimately did, like after the fact, before the fact, kind of
Yeah.
tampering with time. Um, and he doesn't realize that. He thinks he's going in for some sort of, I think it's like a PTSD type of
Mhm.
treatment. But in reality, he is going back and he is changing his past in that he is an actual descendant of these Assassin's Guild people that he jumps back into, and
Yeah.
he the theory that they're working with, and again, I apologize, that doesn't have anything to do with this manga. This one is pretty straightforward. Um, but
Oh, I
the
love Assassin's Creed.
I think Viz Communication is who has the other one. Um, he keeps going farther and farther back in his lineage to other members messing around with time. Just little teeny things because they know, a big change, and who knows what the world will become.
Mhm.
But they're trying to guide time by just having him do these little things with previous members of his family as he's going back in time. No, this one is pretty much as it says. It's set in the 14th year of the year 755 current era, or AD, as those of us that are longer in the tooth used to grow up calling it. He is a Chinese assassin at this time, and he is running missions for against the Tang Dynasty.
Cool. Yeah, it's with the new game announcement and stuff like that. Assassin's Creed's been the buzz around the house. My son and I are big Assassin's Creed. He's not caught up with all the books and everything,
Hmm.
but he did pick up like all the Titan
Hmm.
comics and stuff like that, and he has picked up a number of these mangas and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we're an Assassin's Creed family. So
I definitely have liked the concept behind it and everything, the
yeah,
whole franchise, kind of like The Witcher.
yes. All right, so my last pick for next week, and I forgot to actually put one down. I don't know why. I looked at the show notes. I'm like, oh, I totally skipped my third pick. So, and miraculously, it is now showing up in. I wish all of you could see this as I speak. It shows up in the show notes. So, and I only did this just because I think it's a notable issue number with issue 100. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 100 from Boom Studios. Really, it had nothing to do with Boom and everything to do with Boom at the same time. This is the 100th issue of a Power Ranger series that has been published through Boom, and I think Ryan Parrott's been on like 90% of that.
Mhm.
So if there is a Boom Power Ranger guru, he would be the one. Um, so yeah, so Boom has published Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then there was Power Rangers, and then there was Go-Go Power Rangers, and then there was Mighty Morphin, and then so anyway, so they've merged all that, much like Marvel Legacy numbers. Uh, this one actually made a little more sense after we looked at the numbers. But so this is the 100th issue. Moving forward, this they won't have two series; they'll just have the one series called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and obviously issue 101 will be the next issue. But it is a pretty big to do for any publisher that has a ongoing series that reaches sort of this number. Again, this was several series, but it was the same story. It's not that they were taking, it was kind of, I hearkened it to the Superman Triangle days,
Mm.
even though it didn't have a part one, part two kind of thing. These series crossed over each other all the time. So they were all kind of together. May as well have just been one series. So, but yeah, pretty big milestone. So looking forward to what the new creative team is going to do on this series starting the next issue. So,
Have they had another series go 100 issues?
no, I
Did
know they've had a
in
lot of series go a long time.
did either of the incorrigible, incorruptible, irredeemable, one of those
Mm,
was much longer than the other, but did it hit 100?
I want to say like Irredeemable went for a long time, and
Like
I'm
in the 70s maybe? 70s or
Oh, I
80s?
don't think it went that far. Let's see.
No?
I've got it
Okay.
I'm pulling it up right now just to double check.
Irreproachable.
No, it only went 37 issues.
How about the other one then?
Let's see. Irreproach. No, Incorrigible. Was that the
In
one?
imperceptible,
It was. Yeah. It was
what was it called? Indefatigable,
Incorruptible.
Okay,
That
there we go. I know it
it
was one
was
of those
one of
words.
those.
Yeah.
We were gonna figure it out. That one only went about 30 issues.
Oh, okay.
So but again, that's a good example of it though. All of that's in the same world. That's all they all tied together, looking at the same argument from different perspectives. What if the hero was actually the villain, and then what if the
Yep.
villain became the hero? So
I think that's what they're trying to do with the Radiant Black,
yeah, yeah.
which I got 3 issues in and had to throw my hands up.
Ah, it's such a
Oh,
no. I'm,
oh,
I'm
ca
not going to
ca
go into all that.
ca let me tell you my beef,
Okay,
okay?
sure. Yeah, definitely.
Um, I have very specific reasons personally as to why I read comic books, okay? I
Okay.
read comic books to escape, and
Oh,
that's it,
sure.
to escape. Um, Reading about the toils and troubles of a frustrated prose writer and the methods he goes through is not where I want to escape. That's a little too real worldy for me, I'm sorry.
So,
It's
do you
you
want
know?
me okay,
Go ahead, yeah.
if none of well, and I'm also thinking of listeners too. So, if you don't want any spoilers for Radiant Black, mute me or something like that, and I'll throw my hand up when I'm done. All right, so everybody's muted. He dies pretty soon, um, after you're reading. If you only made it to issue 3, he dies in the next couple issues.
Oh, really? Wow, okay.
Yes. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. If you don't
Okay,
like
well,
it
yeah.
was a weird take, and when it happened, as a reader, I went, "Okay."
Well,
And that kind of
maybe I'll go back then.
invincible sort of storytelling
Hmm.
that no one is safe, then I'm on board with
Okay.
that. So,
Okay. Yeah, I could see that would be entertaining.
all right,
Uh,
everybody can come back in.
Chris says come back.
So,
Maybe I'll add it back to my list, which is already
see,
pretty daggone long. But
yeah, well, true.
yeah.
I will say the Radiant Black universe. Um, I was super excited for it when it got announced because I'm a universe character or a reader. I love the X-Men
Hmm.
regardless of how I feel about the
All of
current
the
thing. But I do enjoy sort of a lot of series working in tandem to one another. Not like you got to read one to read the next, but characters share something.
right.
And so they share the space. And so Radiant Black obviously is the sort of flagship title. And then you've got, Radiant Red, and you've got Rogue Sun, Radiant Pink is coming up. There's going to be another supermassive one shot. I think they're probably going to do like one of those every year. There'll be another, I think Radiant Yellow is getting a series or mini series or something like that coming up. So it's, it's all this. It is definitely, I keep hearing it's, if you like the Power Rangers, you'd like Radiant Black. Yeah, kind of. I mean, that's very weird. I mean, yes, all the uniforms look the same. That's about it. That honestly, it's about it. Um, One of my favorite issues was I think it was issue 10 or 11. It was the Blacklight issue. So they published two issues, or two versions of it, but but our lead character goes into a different world, different universe. And in doing so, the coloring is super stark. It's very bright and in your face and everything. And it's one of those things where you go, "Oh, this would be really cool in black light." And they went, "Yeah," they thought that too. And so they made one issue that's sort of a regular issue, and then the other one you can put under a black light. It completely changes it. So I got both, and I don't have a black light, but I need to go buy one so I can really appreciate that issue. But just cool concepts like that they do, and they definitely are having a good time, doing it. So,
Cool.
but yeah, don't. I really, if anyone's kind of where Ed was with Radiant Black, you got a couple issues in, you're like, it's too much realism. It is, and it didn't. I really enjoyed the first issue, but it really kind of. The more I talked to other folks about it, I got where they were coming from. The real, like, do I need to hear this guy complain about his job or lack thereof? No, and that is kind of boring. But the book is about those characters' lives, and so it kind of takes some time to get. You want the first issue to be slam bam, just in your face, and whatever. And sometimes some cook a little bit longer than others, and it does lose readers. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So, but hey, but here's your litmus test.
Yep.
Doug
There you go.
says the Radiant Black is a lot of
I,
fun. So,
I am on the outside, and I need to get on the inside here. So
but yeah, it's definitely one of those titles that I have added and cut a lot of other titles while I've been reading it,
mhm.
and it is consistent.
Okay.
It's consistent for me. So
Maybe I'm off tomorrow, so I have a long weekend. Maybe I'll
you got some time.
put some stuff together and try to catch up on that and see how I feel.
I don't want to pressure you. I mean, just read a
No,
couple issues.
yeah, no
Don't don't
pressure. I read
don't.
the X-Men. There is no pressure.
Oh, that's true.
Or the X universe, I should say, not just
It's
X-Men.
so true. All right, so let's dive into some reviews,
Okay.
and you can get us started with this bad boy.
This is awesome. War Party. And mine is signed, as you can see here. They all don't come like that necessarily, but I'm special. No, I'm kidding. This is from Kickstarter. Rampart Comics. Rampart. Where do we know Rampart? Emergency. The TV show Emergency. Whenever they radioed into Rampart. And anybody remember that? Chris, is that before your time or?
Sorry, I was
Yeah,
muted so I could drink my chair wine there.
yeah.
Um,
No.
I
Terry Ann, do you remember
Barely. I barely watched.
Emergency Calling into Rampart?
I
Uh,
know Emergency, but
we'll see. Okay, all right.
I know of it.
Um, Here the inside cover is a pretty good place to start telling you guys what this is. While a prisoner of Lieutenant Colonel Cook in the British garrison at Fort Rolfe, James is flogged for desertion and sentenced to death. As a trusted native scout of the colonel, Tarlo buys some time, allowing Diani to approach James with a wolf pelt. Thinking it only the actions of a superstitious witch, both British commanders permit her to perform the transformation ritual. John, Joseph, Thomas, and Bastian look on in horror. Those are his army mates. As James turns from man to beast, growing in size and attacking the fort's garrison. All attempts to restrain him with fire, chains, muskets, and artillery fail, and the fort is engulfed in a blazing inferno. Cook and Rolfe flee, and the next morning, James declares himself leader of the war party. So it's colonial, maybe during the French and Indian War, I think is the more exact time frame. We have British troops, we have English troops, we have a Native American or First People or Indigenous Indians. I apologize, I'm not sure what the appropriate term is for them anymore. Um, and I believe there we even have two separate groups. I don't know if they're two different peoples or if they're one people and it's an internal struggle between factions. So we have that. Then we have Thomas, who is in love with a Caucasian woman that the first commander of the English fort that burnt down is enamored with. And then all of those people go to a neighboring French fort where the French commander takes a liking to her as well, with the English commander there as well, and this former soldier running around as a lycanthrope. Um, and then this woman is a member of the local indigenous tribe who performed the skinwalker ritual on him. So that's who she is. This issue, he is trying to rescue the Caucasian lady that has been taken much against her will. She doesn't like any of those men. She actually is in love with the dude who is now a werewolf. Um, but he needs help. So this shaman, turns out to be what she is actually, um, helps by taking volunteers and giving them three other pelts: an alligator pelt, a cheetah pelt, and a bald eagle pelt, which, along with his wolf pelt, she uses to transform them into lycanthropes, avatars of these gods. They each represent a particular god in her tribe's pantheon. And so that then becomes his army. Now on the cover, which I wish they would have done, you see up here in the upper left hand side, that is a bear lycanthrope. Yeah, he wasn't in here, which is unfortunate because I would have dug a big brown bear lycanthrope running around. But there you see the eagle and the wolf and the cheetah and the alligator. So they make it to the French fort where everyone now is sequestered, but they are driven off. And actually, what happens is James finds out that his it it's seemingly his anger, but his single-mindedness in purpose is what maintains his attachment to the pelt and allows him to transform lycanthropically, if that's a word. Um, but something happens, and in the midst of battle, his attention is shifted from single-mindedly trying to rescue this woman to saving one of his companions. And because his focus shifts, the pelt leaves him, and they end up losing the battle because one of their, big tanks now is no longer functional. So she, the shamaness, explains to him what's going on, and they go off in the woods and have sex. And she gives him some of her mojo, and now the two of them are were creatures along with the other three. So we now have five who are going back to the fort to resume the battle, presumably in issue number 5 of 6. There's only going to be 6 issues in this. I said Kickstarter. I got this off of Indiegogo. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
This was an Indiegogo. And actually, the campaign that I took part in is a pay now, we'll ship you the issues as we finish them campaign. So,
oh, nice.
I've already prepaid in essence for issues 5 and 6. Whenever they're done, they'll mail them out to me and I'll get them.
Cool.
Don't see too many campaigns set up like that, but
No.
this was one. Yeah.
Well, and let me ask you something about that. Not in this specific situation, but what's a thing that makes you go, okay, that's something that I'm willing to do to advance pay like that?
Because it was a very, very low advance pay.
Okay.
It was like $25 for all 6 issues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, with shipping and handling, you beat that.
Oh,
I dare you on Kickstarter
yeah.
or actually Indiegogo. So much so that every now and then when I think about it, I'm like, dag, is he losing money on this one?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
I don't know. This was only like I think this was the first one that he did. He tried this and canceled it pretty quickly. Something came up. And then 6 or 8 months later, put it back up extended. I believe the first time I saw it, it was only for like the first 2 issues, which at that time he already had done. When this one was solicited, he had the first 4 done, and because of the pandemic, was just now able to mail out issue 4 and actually in issue 0, which is an origin story. Yeah, I don't have it in here with me, and it's in black and white.
Okay.
So this is it's as much color as the cover is. It's full color and everything. So
Oh, nice.
and actually, I was going to say there's some of the artwork in it. Very clear, very deeply saturated colors, but not like bright saturation. Here's a pretty good 2-page. That's all the
Oh, nice.
lycanthropic avatars there. Yeah, so it's been fun. It's been long enough that I had gotten the first 3 that I had forgotten about it because I'd read them so long ago and put them up.
Yeah.
And then 4 and 0 showed up this past weekend when I went.
And you're like, hey.
Yeah, it's like, oh. And so I went to Indiegogo and I'm like, okay, what did I pay for? Oh, okay. I still got 2 more issues coming. Yeah. So
that's the best.
oh, when you forget about it and you get something and you're like, I remember, but what is this?
It's either old age or you just order too much.
Both.
Or both.
What it is. Yeah. Yeah.
That's always the thing around the house here. Everybody has their own money, as my kids like to say. So they order stuff. Not every day, but they do order. We don't exactly know that FedEx and Amazon guy, but we're at least familiar with their face.
You see them a lot, do you? Okay, I got you.
So every day when somebody comes up to the door, even the dog doesn't bark anymore. It's just
somebody got
so it's like,
today.
well, I wonder who got this, and so I know it's never me. The only time it's been me was yesterday, and that was it. I don't normally order anything. But yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, those are fun things. Like, oh, I think I ordered too much. Apparently Terry's.
She lives with me. She understands the affliction.
She knows
it's old age, and I order too much because typically, actually, what happens is she is the one on Saturdays that goes by the post office. So,
she's like, look what you made me carry.
Yeah, typically they help her carry packages out to the car.
Nice.
Not that they're heavy, but just that there's multiple, and it's unwieldy to carry them all. It's so.
Ed, you got a problem. It's a good problem. It's a good one.
The funny thing is, most of those packages, there might be 5 or 6 or 7. Each one only has 1 book.
Right. Yeah.
So it's true. It's not like it's 5 or 6 DCBS boxes.
Right.
Or, something like that. So I will say that in my defense, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
It's only 1 book a box.
It's not a bad problem to have. All right, so my first book is Vanish #1. This is from KLC Press and Image Comics, as it says in the credits, which is kind of neat. You know, KLC is Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's publishing company, and so it's the if you follow them on Substack, that's their thing over there. I will now that I've said Substack out loud. I'm it's I tell you, man, it's I'm starting to kind of get the like I get it. I'm starting to get it now. Like this is I could back just these people and just get their books because they're the ones that I'm really digging right now. But Vanish #1, created by Donny Cates. He's doing the story. Ryan Stegman's doing the pencils on it. JP Myers doing the ink. Sonia Obak is doing the colors, and John J. Hill is doing the letters. So this book has got a lot of hype, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up. Trying to be relevant and whatnot. But I actually did enjoy the book. The concept behind it is interesting. How much did you read this, or do you know anything about
No,
this?
not yet, but I do have it on my stack to read, but
Okay.
I just didn't get to it.
Okay. So I won't
Uh,
spoil too
well,
much of it,
don't worry
but
about me. I
oh,
can't be
I know.
spoiled. So,
I just so I read X-Men. Uh,
well, no, you have to have a certain level of care to be
oh,
spoiled,
for
and
sure. Yeah.
at this point, I don't.
Yeah.
So
So the concept behind this is there is a magic realm, and parents who have children that are magic tuned or something. Basically, they go to this world. The kids learn magic at the school. It's not Hogwarts. It's nothing like that. Um, there's a lot of explanation in this in the beginning of this issue that sort of sets this whole world up, which is great. It's probably about the first third of the book. So it puts you on a pretty level playing field as far as knowing what the world is like. Um, and so this villain shows up. He's called the Vanish. He shows up, wrecks havoc and everything. All the students are sort of freaking out because he took the headmaster out and everything, and this one kid who is quote unquote the chosen one breaks a bunch of rules. He says this breaks a bunch of rules in order to find a means to take the Vanish out, and what he comes back with is not magic. One of the rules is you can't go into the real world and bring something from there here, and I don't. He brings a gun and shoots the guy in the head, and the guy dies. I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. But again, that's sort of his origin story. And so the rest of the book is I don't want to say fallout, but it's sort of a fallout kind of that event.
there
It,
should
it
be some fallout.
yeah, there is. And so time flashes forward. He's older. He's married now. He is definitely struggling with the life that he's currently in. This is the kid, the chosen one. He's struggling with what's going on, but he's in the real world at this point. And so he's he gets into he's attacked in an alleyway. He's saved by one of this world's superheroes. And then he makes a discovery that this superhero isn't exactly who he says he is. And then all craziness breaks loose. This felt like it's bigger than a regular size issue. So there's a lot of story to be told. It is pretty good. I didn't know, much like with everything that I read from Donny Cates, that first issue is always questionable for me. Like I never, well, and it's not. I don't think it's his storytelling. I think I go into like Venom did the same thing,
But yet you keep
Crossover did
coming
the
back.
but I but it's it is a weird thing, but by the time I get to the end of that first issue, I'm hooked. You know,
Okay.
it's a very I wish I could describe it better. But it's been a while since I read, Crossover number 1. That was the last Donny Cates book that I read. And I kind of went in that I'm like, I don't know if I really like this. But at the end of the first issue, I was kind of like, okay, all right, you got me at least for the next issue. And then yeah, and once about the third issue hit for Crossover, I was in regardless. Maybe it was fourth issue, but at that point, I'd already read 4 issues. But beside the point, Crossover's a good book. But this one, I think, because the first third of the book sort of set up the world and set up sort of what to expect, and we get quite a bit of reveal as this issue progresses about what's going on in the real world. Um, it was really enjoyable. And Ryan Stegman, I adore his art. I think it's great. This is very moody and whatnot. And Sonia Beck's coloring. I've read her stuff, her art, and seen her art over at Aspen. She's got a book over there that she's been doing for quite a while. So I'm really familiar with her, with her style and her coloring and everything. This is just a very well put together book. Is it going to be the greatest thing in the world for everybody? Probably not. But it's one of those things. It hits on a lot of different notes that I think a larger audience will at least try to get into. You've got the magic, you've got the superhero, you've got the dark and moody. It's sort of it's not spread too thin, but it's a lot of different things right now. So I think the next couple issues will sort of be that determining factor. Is it going to sort of hone itself in and kind of narrow the focus a little bit?
Mhm.
But we'll see. I mean, again, first issue, I mean, he had me right at the gunshot, and I was just like, okay, cool. Didn't expect that at all. So this is a book about magic, right? I'm confused, but and it worked. And then the rest of the issue worked as well. So yeah, definitely a good book.
Did this start out on their Substack, or is this
No, no, no. This is just a
its own thing?
their
Okay.
book. Yeah, yeah. They were. It's yeah, and that's sort of the confusing thing about Substack. Some people like to put it through that first. I'm sure they've got some variant cover exclusive for
Oh,
founders and that
yeah,
kind
no
of
doubt.
thing.
Yeah.
But this was straight up. But it was just sort of. I think the only other person that I had seen put their sort of own imprint kind of thing there was Scott Snyder and Tony Daniel when they did Noctera.
Mhm.
So, and obviously we're going to start. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that moving forward from so many of these writers and artists that are doing their own Substack stuff. So
Right.
if we don't, it's not a big thing, but I did like the fact that they acknowledged it. So, but that's it.
All right, I need to step back here. I did it there. Finally, you put up the
I got so into talking about the book, I
Oh,
forgot
okay.
to
I
flip the
was
art
gonna
over.
say something, but I didn't know if you had one ready.
Yeah, I got one.
For the War Party book, the creatives were Justin Murphy on story, pencils, inks, and letters, and Jay Brown on colors. If I'm gonna talk about their stuff, the least I can do is name them.
Yeah.
All right, my next one is Loas of the Craven. This comes to us from Craven Comics via Kickstarter. And I remembered this time, so I will do it up front. Let's see. Fernando Velez is the creator, writer, art director, is responsible for lettering and storyboarding. Arturo Sosmeda is a co-writer. Doris Marcano is the penciler. Angela Montilla and Giomar Gonzalez is the inker. And Don Kraft did the proofreading. And as I said, this is from Craven Comics. banter.com is the website. They are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Cool.
And this is the second issue of this. It says season 1, episode 2. It's the second issue so far of, I guess, the first volume is a way to look at it. It is about, here. In Quiet Night, episode 2 of Loas of Craven, Aira is discovered and remembers the threat of the English colonists. 20 years prior, she left to contact the outsiders, quickly falling in love with a man from a faraway tribe. While Aira is expecting a child, the man sells her to the English colonists behind her back. When the colonists came for her and the rest of the village, she decided that instead of running away, she would use her powerful abilities to free those in the village, preventing them from becoming slaves. Aira killed all the colonists except one, William. Now, after 20 years, William is in charge of the exploring mission that is looking for the Loa's kingdom's location. He's been looking for Aira for 20 years. This longtime enemy will disrupt the peace and harmony of the kingdom of Lois, putting all at risk of slavery. That is the story in this issue. The first issue was about Aira and her origin. This is taking place in the whatever time period the English were attempting to colonize Africa. So that would be what, 1700s, I believe, if I recall history. I was a biology major in college, so history was not my strong suit. For those of you that are going to say, no, it was, okay, that's cool. But yeah, see, you can see here, this is a pretty standard British blue coat there, no pun intended, or intended, however you want to look at it. And you also see he has a silver hand there. Aira is responsible for that. She and two of her attending maidens actually are not from Africa. And that's all I'll say, because that's kind of a pretty important piece of the puzzle. That is spoken of more in the first issue than the second issue. The second issue does a lot of the storytelling about her time in Africa. Like it said, she became pregnant from another tribesman on a journey. When she comes back to her village, that tribesman from a competing tribe, in essence, sells her and her current tribe out to the English, who are going to they're slavers. And she fights back, kills all of the colonists but one. And the bulk of this book is that surviving colonist coming back a second time to any number of things, to find more slaves, to hopefully find her and wreak revenge. It's a very female forward book. The tribe is predominantly female. The colonists are predominantly male, white male, as the English were wont to be in the 1700s. And so you have conflict, I believe that, and I'm not necessarily the best on picking things like this up, but you're watching combat on several different levels. Colonizer and the indigenous, male, female, Caucasian, non-Caucasian, traditional, contemporary. You could lean towards a religious background, and then the magical, animalistic beliefs of the indigenous peoples also is a battle being waged. So it's representative, I think, on several different levels of conflict. And Aira is she's a badass. Which that is what drew me to the book, is that the teaser on Kickstarter was that it was set in Africa during this colonial period, and it was a predominantly female tribe that it was going to center on. And I thought, well, that's not something that I've seen very often, if at all. So
No.
And don't think Black Panther and Wakanda. These people are not like that. They are much more depicted as they traditionally would have been in the 1700s, 1800s, except for the magic that she can wield.
Mhm.
Otherwise, um, no flying ships or Wakanda or any of that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
but entertaining. The artwork is um, it tends a little bit towards a more almost to me um, anime-ish kind of big eye, small mouth styling.
Mhm.
Not as far in that direction as a lot of the anime or manga drawings are, but it does. I believe that the artist is a fan of anime, and that has influenced their artwork a little bit. Not that it takes away from anything, but and plus too, it's nice to see the colonizers get theirs. I mean, I understand that's what I'm descended from. Ultimately a colonizer. I don't necessarily take any pride in that, but that's what is it they say? The winners write history.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is the history that I learned is the history of the colonizer. But it's nice to see that that is not necessarily always the case, which of course we knew it to be, but until very very recently, it just wasn't popular to depict that. And
Yeah.
they're doing a good job. The colonists aren't the great the great white devil, but they are very clearly in the wrong in this
Mhm.
particular story. So good stuff.
Cool. Very, very cool. And that's the kind of the neat thing about, I mean, we've talked about this before, the neat thing about Kickstarter. There's just so much. If you spend a little bit of time, and it's not like you have to really dig deep, but if you spend just a little bit of time, 5, 10, 15 minutes kind of scrolling through that comic section,
Yep.
there's all kinds of stuff there.
And plus two, recently, and I can't put necessarily a time frame on recently, but every update I get from an ongoing Kickstarter has, "Hey, while you're at it, take a look at these
Right.
books," at the
Yep.
bottom of the email, and that's
Exactly.
that's a more recent start that they did. So, that gives you an opportunity for a rabbit hole because if you look at
Mhm.
one and then you'll see this, and while you're looking at that, you'll see another because Kickstarter does that too.
Yeah.
When you look at the Kickstarter, at the bottom of the page will
Yep.
be others. I don't know if
It's
they're
smart.
similar or just that they wanna tout or whatever, but so, you spend those 15 or 20 minutes, you can flip through 6, 8, 10 different projects,
Oh, easily. Yeah.
so, yeah, I like the way that they're interconnected. I've also noticed, I don't know how widespread this is, but several of the ones that I have been backing lately, one of the, um, not levels, but one of the when you get so much funding and they add something, what is that called? Add something to
Oh,
the
the
project.
oh gosh. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, incentives, yeah, whatever the word is, has been PDFs of other projects that people have done on Kickstarter,
Oh,
their
okay.
books,
Yeah.
that are past, not current ongoing, but like, the first issue and the third issue is what they have on Kickstarter now for that one, or
Mhm.
stuff like that. Um, like 5 and 10 and 15 different books at a time. I've seen
That's
some
crazy.
projects throw up as incentive goals. So
Yeah.
that's been cool to, you know, at the very least, that makes me see that, go to their website and
Yeah.
see how far they are, and then go and look to Kickstarter and see how far it is. So
Yep.
a nice cross breeding of stuff like that.
Yeah, they do a great job with it.
Yeah.
All right. So my next book is Bloodshot Unleashed #1 from Valiant, which is a name. Multiple parts of that were things that I haven't talked about in a very long time. Valiant and Bloodshot. This is written by Denez Camp, art by, and I apologize if I butchered that first name. Uh, Artist is John Davis Hunt. Colorist is Jordi Belair. Letterer is Hassan Astame. I always forget how to pronounce his last name. Um, I apologize. And then a slew of variant covers and things like that. So,
Okay, this time I will say something. Do you wanna put a cover up?
oh, thank you. Glad you said that. Boom. Literally, boom.
That's the A cover?
This is the A cover, yes.
Okay.
So, much like with everything, I'm a big fan of Valiant, always have been, but I've not been reading them for the last several years. But in my defense, I don't think they've really published a whole lot in the last several years.
Well,
So,
it's been kinda sparse.
yeah, so with Bloodshot, so their current situation, and if we had Mike Myers or Martin involved here, both of them would know very much more than I would, since both of them are very sort of tied into they've been long, like deep into the fandom, um, but things have not been very well for Valiant for whatever reason on the publishing
Business side?
side, business side. Yeah, there you go. And I don't know all the details, but I know that I got a press release from them saying something along the lines that while they did have a number of books sort of in the queue, that they were going to be publishing one at a time, like literally one at a time, or one every month, or something like that, until the beginning of next year, and then sort of adjusting from there. So I know Book of Shadows, which is a Cullen Bunn book.
Mhm.
That one is currently being published right now. I know was it issue 2 just recently came
I think
out.
2 just dropped, yeah.
So, and then Bloodshot was one that I know they said for sure in the press release that they were going to release. I think it's 6 issues for this. They're going to be publishing that, and then I don't know if that means Book of Shadows won't be published until this series is over or what. But so it's kind of, if you're a fan or someone like me who's trying to get back into it, it's a little difficult. But my suggestion and what the way I'm looking at it is just be patient. Pick up if you see the book, pick it up.
Yeah,
If you,
just watch
yeah,
for whatever comes out when
yeah.
it comes out.
So
I believe they have an Archer and Armstrong book running now too.
yeah, and there's that, and then I know there's a new Exo Man of War book that was talked about. I've seen like some cover art or something like
Really,
that.
I haven't seen it.
It looked, I forget where I saw it. I don't think it was on their
Okay,
website. Maybe one of the editors or somebody had put on Twitter or something like that, because I
okay.
do follow a lot of them. So Bloodshot is one of those characters I feel he's definitely a hit or miss story wise. I think concept of the character is kind of cool. You know, a soldier taken, drained of his blood. He's got all this cybernetics in him, little microscopic, nanite things that basically make him heal from every wound that he has. Not immortal as far as that goes, but near indestructible. Um, Now, this particular issue, like with a lot of issues that I think I've probably had in the past, this, there's definitely a lot of violence in this book. Um, there is a lot of, if you're not into seeing someone's head blown off, which happens several times in this, self-inflicted wounds, stuff like that. If any of that triggers you, obviously this is not a book for you. But I think sort of the story that's being told is interesting. It's a different way I think this character has been taken. I don't think he's been taken this way before. Um, but it is, you get in the beginning of this a very sort of, here's who Bloodshot is. Here's how, what goes through his head now, having lost his family and all of, he still remembers all this stuff despite constantly, you know, being killed off, and then his nanites bring him back. And so he goes through also the process of what that's like, sort of like when he initially comes back to life, he doesn't remember anything. And then just as everything sort of gets mended and woven back together, then the memories start to come back, and so uh, that's kind of what his life is like, and you kind of feel bad for the guy, and so he is in a he's in a town that has been ravaged by something. thing. And in doing so, he's sort of wandering the town, and as he is there, he is given some instructions by a mysterious person known as Nobody. And obviously not really their name, but the point of it is this this character is like, I literally am nobody, in the grand scheme of things. I'm someone who's tired of, working for the people that I work for and the evil that they do and lie about it to the public. And so here's a file that has all of these 27 killers basically that are like you, that the US government has allowed to escape from their prison, and now they're running rampant across the US. And they're going to kill hundreds of thousands of people in their wake. And the government's not going to do anything about it, basically. Um, but somebody needs to. And I hope you're the person that can do it, kind of thing. And then this person offs themselves because they just can't be guilty
Oh, okay.
of it all. So I mean it's a pretty heavy issue. Now, there is a much deeper or longer conversation that goes on, but that's the gist of it. It's the government has allowed these people, much like Project Rising Spirit was what created Bloodshot. There are all of these other programs that created all of these other, you know, people just like him. And so Bloodshot kind of uh doesn't want to get involved, as far as like, why should I work for the government to clean up their mess? And then it becomes more about the people who are going to die in the wake of it if he doesn't do something. So it's not like Punisher-esque kind of thing. It and there is guilt involved, because he's like, if I don't do it, who will? And probably no one. And then all of that's going to weigh on me. And so this issue, he does run into one of the 27 people, and obviously massive violence ensues. But at the same time, this character then tells their story and why they are the way they are, and why they think they're in the right, and all this other stuff. And it's a very interesting, very you know uh, telling story of modern day, you know, politics and warfare and stuff like that, in the disguise of a comic book. And I really enjoy reading it. And opening this book up, I was like, I'm excited to read a new Bloodshot book because I haven't read one in a very long time. Don't really know the creative team all that well, but let's just dive in. And then by the time I got most of the way through this issue, I'm like, dude, this is heavy. There's a lot going on here. And I love getting into a book like that, not knowing that this is what I'm now. I'm sure anybody could pick up this book, flip through it, and go, okay, that was a lot of fluff, blah, 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 blah. But if you slow down enough and sort of really kind of be aware of sort of the undertones of what it's talking about, it's a pretty heavy book. So again, I think this is a 6-issue miniseries. There's 27, characters that he has to go after. It's a video game. I mean, he's having to take down the board, the level bosses, and
The bosses.
that kind of thing. That's kind of, you could look at it that way. I don't think there's a mega boss at the very end of it all.
A
But
dragon.
yeah, it's something. It's the U.S. government. Hey, how you doing? Uncle Sam. I don't think that's what's going to end up having, but who knows? But I'm definitely on board for the next few issues to kind of see how it plays out. The art in it is pretty spot on. I like it. It's sort of Jose Rip,
Mhm.
his art. It's kind of that style, that kind of look, but tighter lines, not as much. It allows the colorist to kind of do more defining
Okay.
than the inks doing the defining. So,
Right.
but yeah, but it did sort of remind me a bit of Rip's style. Not aping it by any stretch, but it just
Yeah.
reminded me a little of it. So, but yeah, I really dug this issue, and I'm kind of looking forward to the next one because he takes on a big old robot. According to this, let's see. It says Bloodshot's mission to put a stop to the spent shells. That's what these characters are called, the spent shells. They're not a super team by any stretch. That's just what the government calls them. Um, this mission takes him to the heartland, to Michigan, to meet a wounded soldier whose brain was placed inside of a robotic chassis with nuclear capabilities. No matter what happens, there's going to be a bloody fallout. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay.
So that sounds cheesy. I'm kind of hoping we keep sort of the serious tone of it. Now, keep in mind, Bloodshot just got riddled in this issue. He was mending himself and eating candy bars and all kinds of stuff, to give himself. It literally was. The more I think about it, it felt like a video game. I was like, oh, he's doing health bar stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's picking up health as he
so
goes.
he can
Yeah.
grow back. But yeah, regardless of all that, that's kind of funny as I think about it. But yeah, it was a pretty solid issue. So,
All right, cool.
all right, what you got next?
All right, next I have Apama the Undiscovered Animal, issue number 12, coming from Hero Tomorrow Comics via Kickstarter. This is created by, let's see here, and that is not it.
No.
So here we go. Story by Ted Sikora and Milo Miller. Art by Benito Gallego, and colors and lettering by Ted Sikora. And I will say that I met Mr. Sikora at Heroes this year,
Cool.
and it was very good. Hero Tomorrow Comics is probably my favorite company on Kickstarter. They have had several series, all of them interwoven with Apama, which I will get into because his story does. But it is Chris talking about a universe. Let's see if it's four, I think. One, two, three, four books, and they all intersect this character because he was the first.
Oh, okay.
One of the other characters is an ex-girlfriend, has a book. Then an associate of her has a book, and then a new villain for him has the fourth book. And so they're all. Now he is Ilya Zarsky, who makes his living selling ice cream bars out of a truck van in Cleveland, Ohio.
Of course he does.
But here, after getting lost in the woods while hiking, ice cream truck driver Ilya Zarsky came upon a mysterious cave. Inside, a bizarre map revealed the legend of a savage beast whose spirit force could only be unlocked by precisely executing an intricate pose. Ilya pushed himself to the brink of madness, perfecting every movement, studying every microscopic detail. Finally, the amateur contortionist unleashed the strength, speed, and ferocious spirit of Apama, the undiscovered animal. I mean, stuff writes itself. I mean, come on. I'm kidding. This I found this on Kickstarter probably with issue like 5, so I had to back get a little bit, but I have been supporting every Kickstarter that he has had since then. The villain that was introduced here that had her own series, her name is Bloom, and actually she, for the past 2 issues and this issue, she plays a part. She had her own 4-issue mini come out on Kickstarter. And then probably 2 of the best Kickstarters I have seen. His former girlfriend is the Tap Dance Killer, which has a 5-issue series, and she assumes the guise of a vaudeville act, tap dancing and doing vaudeville stuff, but she's an assassin. And then one of her associates is Punchline, and the group that he's in is called the Vaudevillains.
Uh-huh.
And there has been one issue of it, and I believe in here, uh, Mr. Sikora said the second issue will be the next Kickstarter from this universe. But in this issue, Ilya is it's getting late in the year, and he's realizing, driving an ice cream truck during the fall and winter in Cleveland probably isn't going to make me a whole lot of money. So somebody takes out an ad in the paper. Hey, Apama, come to this address and I'll give you $1,000. He's like, oh, $1,000. Okay. Um, he's kind of a deadbeat dude in his real life, like even more than like Peter Parker just hawking photographs was deadbeat. I mean, he is like, he really is a do nothing. Uh, he has these powers, but he doesn't want to. But now that he has them, he can't get rid of them. Um, he doesn't want to be responsible with them, but ultimately he's kind of forced to because he finds himself in situations where, daggone it, somebody's got to do something, and so he does. Um, he answers the ad and finds out that it is a local used mattress salesman wanting to use him in a commercial. And so he agrees to it. The next day, he shows up to shoot his commercial, and the mattress sales place. Let me see. We've got cheap, cheap, cheap. Somebody's Mattress Warehouse is the name of his business.
Is it
Lloyd's.
Crazy Lloyd's? It's right there
Fabulous
on the cover.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Lloyd's Fabulous Discount Mattress Warehouse. That's the business, and he lined up an appearance with signatures for the next day after the filming of the commercial. So,
Nice.
Apama didn't realize that until he shows up to do his commercial, and there's hundreds of people in line because at this point he is a uh, I guess you could say famous media person in Cleveland
Right.
because he's had multiple run-ins. One of the run-ins was with the lawnmower man. Yes, yes, indeed. Who is in prison and gets out, escapes, and that is the main gist of this issue, actually, because I just have it up
Oh,
here
I
now.
thought you
He,
were holding it up to show
yeah,
it. Yeah.
he attacks Apama at his signing, and so he has to be responsible with all the people there and everything like that. Um, and then in a side story, his ex-girlfriend, but not the one who is the tap dance killer.
Right. Yeah.
This is his ex-girlfriend since her, and when she found out that he was a Palma, she dumped him. So it was his next girlfriend after the tap dance killer, but she left because he's a superhero. Um, she misinterprets when he did this dance and took on this aspect of this creature. It also materialized tattoos on his body, which he typically keeps covered up. He wears a lot more clothes now than he used to. And she associates his most recent ex-girlfriend, associates one of the tattoos with a death cult that is making news, who is led by this character named Bloom, who um, this is the cover for one of her issues. I believe that's the issue 1 or issue 2 cover.
I think I've seen that now.
Probably have, yeah. And that's so she is the leader of a death cult. The ex-girlfriend goes to try to help him because she feels that one of the tattoos that he has on, links him to that. And in attempting to help him, she gets taken to Bloom, who is out to get Apama because he messed up one of her plans. And I imagine things are going to get pretty nasty when Bloom finds out that this girl is connected to him in any way. She'll
Hmm.
she'll use him. Um, Unfortunately, of the 4 series that have come out, Bloom was probably my least favorite. I don't know. I didn't connect with it. Um, it was the story of her and her cult, and she was written very much like a 60s, 70s hippie-ish female. Uh,
Hmm.
Not necessarily leader of a cult, more like a leader of a commune kind of personality. And I don't know. It was meant to be, I think, campy and psychedelic and reminiscent. And It just didn't connect.
Hmm.
Whereas Tap Dance Killer and let's see, what was his name? The other, he's also a assassin. Punchline. Punchline is a big tank, but he dresses as a clown.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, and the vaudevillains is just a troop of ex vaudeville people who he convinced into being assassins also, and they just stuck together. But um, Punchline and Tap Dance Killer are probably a couple of the more unique. Not that Opama is not unique as well, or Upama.
Yeah.
Um, Characters that I've run across in a long time, and for me, that's what makes it interesting. I think Bloom was just a little bit too unique, and like I said, it just didn't. I don't know, it didn't click. But
Yeah.
Punchline is the next one up here. Actually, this is probably going to be the cover of his. Where is it? There, this way. His next issue there, over
Cool.
here. But yeah, Hero Tomorrow Comics and everything that has been published has come out on Kickstarter is available on their website. And as a matter of fact, Hero Tomorrow comes up in previews when they have a new issue as well. I believe in the current previews that we're sitting on that we just talked about, I believe this issue of Apalma is advertised in that.
Oh, okay.
So that would suggest to me that he has books available if he's going through a major distributor like that to
Yeah.
distribute them. So if you go to his website, you can probably find print of all of his books. I definitely know you can find digital of all of his books.
Yeah. Cool. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. When
So
I saw issue 12, I was like, holy cow, that's pretty good for a Kickstarter.
yeah, he's been, and like I say, he's done 12 of Apama,
Mhm.
4 of Bloom, 5 for Tap Dance Killer, and 1 of Punchline. All of those have been on Kickstarter.
Is it the same artist on like each series has its own artist or is it
Yes, and it is
okay.
all written by Ted Sikora.
Wow. Nice. Doing some work.
Well, and it allows him, to focus on this one character, and
Yeah.
then when the Kickstarter is done, shift gears and focus on this character, and so, it sounds. I don't think it's necessarily as juggly as a mainstream, Marvel writer would
Right.
do, coming out with 5 books.
Yeah.
So
But still, it's good stuff. All right. So my last book of the evening is Berserker number 10.
B, what up, B?
Oh my god. Let's run
Put
through
the
this real quick.
put the cover up.
Oh, good call. The creepy
Pow.
all the
Ooh,
bodies in your face.
yeah,
Literally.
that's yeah. Oh,
It's a
ooh.
good looking cover there. I mean, no doubt, but um don't get the well, I don't wanna say don't get the foil one because it's the same thing, but it's it doesn't look as good. It's sort of muddy.
Mm.
It just can't really tell. I mean, this issue. I mean, let me see if I can zoom in on it. I mean, it's like super intricate, with the body parts and
That is
everything.
weird. Yeah.
So the foil of it just makes it just the coloring on it sort of muddies it, and you can't really enjoy it that much. Now, if you like the full covers, I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously pick it up. Don't listen to me when it comes to your money. So, but this is the 10th issue of 12, written by Keanu Reeves, Matt Kent, illustrated by Ron Garney, colored by Bill Crabtree, letters by Clem Robbins. Logo is Michelle Inkley, and designer is Grace Park. For those who know, this is I'm I have mixed feelings about Berserker.
Oh,
This
okay.
particular issue. So, if you've read up to now, if you've read up 1 through 9, this series sort of came across as somewhat generic, but had something there, and we kind of latched, or at least I kind of latched onto it. I don't want to speak for you. Um, as it's gone on, and we sort of learning more about, or are trying to learn more about uh, uh, newts, or bees, past where he came from, who is his parent or his mother really, who exactly is his father, what is the powers, all this stuff that makes him who he is, makes him immortal, photograph or whatever that. It's not photographic memory, but he basically can remember his entire 80,000 years
Right,
or
yeah, his
whatever.
entire life, where he's been, what he
Yeah,
did, and who he met, and all of it.
yeah. So, which is an incredible memory, but at the same time could be very, very frightening at times. So, so all of that, so we're building toward that to figure out what that answer is, or what those answers are, and then also this, this research unit trying to weaponize him at the same time. And so you're sort of conflicted. You want to find out, you want to know all this stuff, but at the same time, and or B understands it as well, that they're using him, because he's using them. He's trying to figure out a way to die, and so, I think the thought is, I give them what they want, they give me what I want, then I'll be done. I don't think that's going to be the case by the time we get to the end, but that's just me. Um, Most of this issue is building toward the big moment where they go to his birthplace, literally where his mother is imbued with the whatever, the cosmic energy that creates B, and so we get there, he remembers it. I mean, the whole last issue was about that, him sort of diving into his past, his memory, to find that point, finds that point, and so they, put the coordinates in the map and the GPS, and let's go, you know and so that's where we are at the end of this issue. Now, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of other stuff that happens, and those things are the kind of things where I'm kind of like, I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, the book has gotten weirder the further along we've gotten. I don't feel like if you're reading this book, and correct me if I'm wrong, I, I mean, I'm not that far off in thinking this book has just gotten stranger as it's gone.
True, true. Yeah, I mean, on the face,
Yes.
it started out very much like you would assume, immortal warrior. You
Yeah.
know, when did he come about and why? And so, okay, those are the things. And well, here's an example of what he can do and how much he can recover. And okay, well, yeah, that makes sense given what he is. But yeah, then you throw in his relationship with the doctor,
Yeah.
and the burying him and triggering him
Oh
kind
yeah.
of thing. And yeah, I've read 9. I haven't
So,
read 10 yet.
yeah.
So
So, and that's fine because there's not really that much to spoil here, other than the final page. Um, but it definitely, it's one of those things like, well, I mean, I'm not giving up. I want to say giving up. I'm not giving up on this, but like this would. There's nothing about this issue that would make me go, "Well, I'm out." It's not nothing like that. But it's I'm not, screw it. I'm not reading the last 2 issues. I don't
yep,
care. I made it 10 issues in. I've taken all I can. It's
it's
not
gonna
that. It's
end in 12. I quit.
it's been a really fun developing book that has, like, I have no idea where this book is going to end.
Hmm.
I can make speculations based off of preference and stuff like that. I really don't think, Anut's going to kill himself, or they're going to find a way to kill him by the end of the thing. I do feel that when we get to the final page of issue 12 and it says the end, and like dot 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 question mark, I do feel that, there's this is not a conclude the way we thought it was when it opened. Um, no, I could be completely wrong,
Maybe they'll
but
continue the story with the animated feature.
maybe, yeah.
That
And
would be
I'm
cool.
I'm cool with that. I've really been enjoying this, but this, every issue, especially the last issue, was super weird with
Hmm.
the mind melding with the cosmos and everything like that.
Yeah, it.
And this issue is sort of directly coming from that. And but at the same time, it's super entertaining. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I do like, B. I like his character. I like his struggle. I like that he he trusts no one, and I really do feel like everyone treats him like he's an idiot except for the soldiers. Like, I've yet to see a soldier come up to him or
Mm-mm.
talk to him, even in this issue, that are like, "You're an idiot." They don't treat him that way, but the doctors and everybody else are like, "Oh, he's just,"
Right. He's only 80,000 years old. He has
right,
no
yeah.
idea what you're doing. Okay.
He's
Yeah.
yeah, he's not as smart as we are. I'm like,
We'll go
"Whatever."
with that. Okay.
Now this issue, there's some moments in here where you're just kind of like, oh, well, this kind of took a step up, but it's so good and super weird at the same time. The last page is so like, well, it's couple sequences leading up to, but that last page, I just like, I don't, what the frick?
Mm.
Like, not any weirder than the last issue, so we'll see how issue 11 is. But yeah, Berserker's been fun. If you didn't read this book and you don't want to pick up at issue 10, I totally understand. I do recommend pick up I'd say the first trade, but I don't even know if it really gets sort of weird and crazy until the second trade.
Yeah, don't say the second trade because
You still hadn't
it's
got it
not
yet?
out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So actually, I think just this week, the Kickstarter sent out a, "Oh, we're so sorry." Yeah,
oh
whatever.
no.
Just send me
I'm
the
sorry
trade.
about that. Yeah.
It's all right.
But at least pick up the first trade, first couple issues, give it a shot. Um, Matt Kent can really deliver some
So,
great characters.
do you think that expansion to become one with the universe is that Keanu or is that Matt Kent?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's both because
Really? Okay.
they both have now if
Yeah.
obviously if you've seen Keanu in interviews and stuff like that, he is very sort of meta and all this. I mean, and that's great.
Okay. Okay.
Um I've read a lot of Matt Kent stuff. Nothing that I've read would surprise me that didn't come out of his mind, but I do know based off of interviews and stuff like that that this is a very collaborative story that was written. Whether the dialogue and everything is that, but I know at least from what has been said that the concepts and the direction and stuff like that, because there's a much bigger story that they're developing for the anime and for the movie and all this other stuff. So this is just part of this bigger story that they're wanting to tell.
Well, the
So
reason I ask is because I know Matt Kent did mind management, and that got
right.
really odd
Oh yeah.
pretty quickly. So,
So yeah, that's what makes me kind of go, well, it would not surprise me whatsoever. Um, so yeah, I do like. There's a scene in here, or several scenes in here where B is sort of in a room, and it looks really weird. There's all these circles all over the wall and stuff like that. And it looks like eyeballs. It's really strange looking. But later in the issue, one of the soldiers comes in and you know because B has to like regenerate. He's still regenerating from when he was exploded,
mhm.
and so right now he sort of looks like Deadpool. He's just
Hamburger.
hamburger kind of, and so he's recovering from all that. And so he's in this room and everything, and the soldier comes in and he's like, "Oh, look, I'm not trying to bother you or anything, but I just need to let you know that all of these holes basically are vents that if something happens in this room that they don't like, they'll light it up. Like they're flamethrowers is basically what they all are."
Wow. Okay.
And it's just I read that and I was like, "Oh, well, okay. All right. Well, they're not playing around." So, and because they don't, once he went all cosmic, they didn't know what was going to happen. So, let's prep the fire room and have him stay in there for a little bit. So, and he has to stay there for like 10 days while he recovers because he was like, it'll take me about 10 days, to be all healed up and everything so he can travel. And so once he heals up, and so it is one of those things like I thought about it because, this, could be an anime or movie or whatever. It felt like it was a sort of a montage, moment, as we build
Okay.
toward that, toward the conclusion or whatever, the climax of this particular story. So it felt very scripty, or movie script, which was kind of fun. I mean, I was like, oh, this is that moment where we get a big montage of him
Okay.
healing and other
Yep.
things happening. So I was like,
Yep.
okay,
We've
cool.
seen those. Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm still. I mean, I'm still enjoying this, but it's super weird, man. It's I want it to be, now that I've talked about it so much, I want it to be one or two more steps weirder. I just want it just like just
Just
I don't know.
go all in.
I don't know if
Just go
just
for it.
I don't know if there is a limit, to be honest. So when you read this issue, just
Yeah,
message
I'll
me.
I'll I'll read it. I'll read it
Just
this weekend.
give me
Yeah,
the
for sure.
first word that pops in your head when you get to the end of this issue.
Okay.
And that goes for any of you who are watching or listening.
Okay.
Just DM me. My DMs on Twitter are always wide open just for fun and kicks. If you do read Berserker and you get to the last page of issue 10, just message me. Just just say Berserker and then whatever the first word that popped in your head when you read it.
Word association. Okay.
Yeah, because it'll be hilarious. And yeah, if enough people do it, I'll bring it up next episode because it'll be fun because I'll have a blast. I'll be like, "Yep, you're exactly right." Yes, exactly. Because there won't be a word that you say that'll be wrong. To be honest, any word that's going, you're like, "What the frick?" Yeah. So, okay, that's enough. I can keep going,
Okay.
but that'll do it. So, ah, that's a good stack of books. Good stack of books.
Yep.
I always get nervous, and I told Ed this before the show. I always get nervous before the show because I, of all people, feared that I'm not going to have enough to say, and I tend to think that I just I don't know. Once I start reading these books and start talking about them, and then Ed starts nudging me, it's just like I can't turn it off. It's just so much fun talking about books.
Yep.
Oh, good times, good times. All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So I did mention something on Twitter about us doing a giveaway.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell you what the prize is or what the giveaway is because I really hadn't figured it out yet. But I want to start doing some giveaways as we're building this YouTube channel, the community here. And so in doing so, when we hit certain milestones, so right now we're sitting at like 27 or 28 subscribers. Not a lot, but it's a lot more than we had when we first started, which was none. So so that's great. So what I would like to do is encourage everybody who is watching, because this happens with every YouTube channel. Half the people that watch the videos aren't subscribed, and it's just that's an analytic fact. So I can't convince you other than here's some free stuff to check us, to subscribe to us. If you don't want to, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. It's not like we're gonna start raking in the millions of dollars if you start subscribing or anything like that. Now if we can get like 1 million of you to subscribe, I mean,
Whoa.
there are other things that we could definitely do that would enhance the show and enhance your participation in it. You want to talk about CGS, Super Show or something like that with 1 million subscribers? I'm sure
Oh
we could do a
man.
few things.
Yeah, I'd say.
But right now we're just shooting for 100. Let's start small, work our way up. So however long that takes, that's up to you guys. So, but I think next episode I'll have a better idea of what the giveaway will be, and then what we'll probably do is about every kind of milestone-y kind of subscription number, whether it be 200 or 250 or something to that effect, we'll give something else away. And that mainly is, yes, it is a ploy to help up our numbers and stuff like that, but at the same time it's it, at least on our part, showing some appreciation for all of you guys and gals too, because I'm from the 1950s, to for spending the time, for listening to us, to come into the chat, to leave comments after the fact and stuff like that. We do appreciate all of you who are checking us out and everything. And so it's just a little, opportunity to give something back. Now, yeah, once we get to 1 million subscribers, obviously we'll turn on AdSense and stuff like that, and pull in a little bit of cash and stuff like that, and we can turn around and give some of that back to you guys as far as like bigger prizes and other things like that. But that's long term. We're just kind of talking about, let's get things started, and so that's what we're kind of doing here. So again, thank you again. You don't have to subscribe to us. It's cool if you do. It's cool if you don't. No pressure or anything like that. It's the only way you can win. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it is. It's the only way.
Yeah, actually,
it's we set the rules. So, but other than that, you can come by the website and check us out. All the episodes, this and Boom Addiction, comicaddiction.net. Come by our forums, justanotherfanboy.freeforums.net. I was able to log in the other day. New laptop. Screw you. I figured it out. I had to reset all my passwords again.
Wow.
This is God, I hate this laptop. You can email us at comicaddictionpodcast@gmail.com. Super easy. You can follow the show on Comic Addiction. And if you follow us on Comic Addiction and you watch the show, like this episode, broadcasting live on the Twitter, send us some feedback, DM us or whatever, and just kind of let us know, not how long you watched or anything, but just sort of what the experience was like. Did you end up having to come over to YouTube and watch us, or it was good? I'm just kind of curious. So you can follow Ed also at Twitter. It's Teal Productions, and you can follow me at Chris Parton. Come by the Facebook group, which is Fans of Boom Studio. Comic Addiction as well has a page there, but we're just posting episodes there. But the Boom Studio one, Ed is sharing all of the links and stuff about news and press releases and interviews and videos and stuff like that. They're all over the internet about Boom Studios. So if you're curious about anything and everything that's going on there, that is a good place to do it, to go check it all out. And I thank Ed for all of your hard work
Not a problem.
for keeping up with that bad boy. That's it. Anything else?
Doug, you have a good weekend too, man.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Doug, you have a good one too. Doug, one of these days you and I need to, like meet up somewhere in a comic shop or something like that, since we both live pretty close to one another. Unless that's scary and you'd think I'm a stranger and I might, put you in my trunk or something like that.
Stranger danger. Don't accept candy from the Parton. That's what I was always told by a gentleman living close to me in Charleston, actually. Or
told you that about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That's for sure. So and we can meet up with like Tim Pageant, definitely, it's definitely an Ultimate Comics thing. So that's think that's a place to be for all of us local folks. So regardless, but yeah, that's it. Thank everybody for checking us out here and watching and listening. This is episode 149. Next week is 150. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe. We got some emails. I don't know. I don't know what people do for anniversary episodes.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. But Ed, thank you as always for joining me.
Yes, sir.
And we will catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.